You wholeheartedly support your leader. Keir Starmer is very supportive of Kashmir. He's openly supportive of Kashmir. He's very dismissive of the human rights violations that are taking place in the occupied Kashmir region by the Indian forces. Why are you not speaking against what he stands for there?
Look, Keir Starmer was a human rights lawyer. He was a DPP. Human rights is very important to him and many people in the Labour Party. We are trying to adopt a human rights based foreign policy. You said he supports Kashmir in the sense that he wants to see Kashmiris given the opportunity to live life like just Kashmiris here in the UK are. For me, he absolutely supports human rights.
You've said that he was a human rights lawyer. There's a difference. A lawyer works for their money. I will defend you for anything you want me to. If I defend you on human rights, I'll do a bit of research and I'll defend you on human rights because you're paying me for it. That does not mean that I can fight with my own whole heart, from the bottom of my heart, for what is actually taking place, which is human rights violations taking place on a colossal scale, day in, day out, as you well know, because you visited Pakistan yourself and you've seen things, with your job as a member of Parliament and working in the human rights committees there. That working for a living and working as a human rights lawyer is very different to working to having your views as a human rights champion. And I don't think he's a human rights champion. You say that he's working for human rights. Give me some proof as to what he's doing, where he's doing it, so that we can always say we can support you on that.
Look, you can be a commercial lawyer, you can be a competition lawyer, you can be a human rights lawyer. Look, I chose not to become a barrister and I went to become an academic. Many of my friends are barristers are earning twice as much money as me, but I wanted to choose that early because I was passionate about it. My point being is that human rights is an area which is passionate about. Why would you do a job if you're not passionate about? He's done a lot of work pro bono in the past as well, and that's because he's got a vision for making sure everyone's got their rights. Let me be clear, I've been to Muzaffarabad, I've been on the border, I've seen Kashmiris give their blood. On Kashmir, we are evolving our policy to make sure that hopefully we move towards self-determination for the Kashmiri people. Secondly, human rights abuses must end. I talk to you clearly as one of the founders of a Labour Friends of Kashmir, which is a national organisation which we are having strong conversations with the leadership office.
Well, there you are. I've got a question here on your, especially on your Labour Friends of Kashmir. You formed these Labour Friends of Kashmir. In 1995, Labour also issued a statement on Kashmir as well. In your last conference, in a Labour conference, you passed a unanimous motion on Kashmir as well. Yet you are completely detached from what the Labour Party is, or the grassroots Labour Party would like to do on Kashmir, and your leadership. How are you going to bring them together again?
That's why we've got Labour Friends of Kashmir, because we want a uniform policy which is consistent and not moved and chopped and changed. We want a strong policy which is there for years to come. And I think my only conversations we're having as an organisation, we're chaired by Andrew Gwynn MP, who's visited Kashmir with myself, a fantastic ambassador for Kashmir peace and prosperity for the future. We're having them conversations. In the past, whatever's happened, people have been following the policies, conference motions lightly or loosely, or if they've been really looking at that seriously, there's been lots of chops and changes. But that is why we have Labour Friends of Kashmir,
but you're not gonna,
for the first time, to have a sensible, sustainable policy in Kashmir.
But you will not move your conversations any further until you have the leadership on board. As long as the your leader thinks the same as the Tory party, there is a two-state solution. It is something between India and Pakistan.
I disagree with that, Harry.
And until you can change his mindset, there's no way that you're going to achieve anything with Labour Friends of Kashmir. I'd like to see it. I'd love to see it.
Well, he wrote a letter, and I think he'll be the first to admit that it came across wrong. He wrote a letter basically saying that the India and Pakistan, it's a bilateral issue. However, It was very lazy wording, and he acknowledges that, and that's why we've had these conversations with the Muslim Council of Britain. I've had the conversations, I've had the conversations.
But has he rewritten those?
Yes, he's moved towards basically saying, look, human rights issues isn't a bilateral issue; it's an international issue.